All right, so we're going to start off very, very basic with a 2-on-1 elbow, just sweeping our partner with an elevation. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, this will work on a lot of people, but it won't work on anybody high level, okay? I'm just trying to show it to you just so you kind of get the idea of elevating someone and taking them over with hooks, all right? We're going to go into 3 different kinds of actual sweeping mechanisms to take our partner over. So we're going to start hand fighting, and we're going to get to a 2-on-1 elbow. Again, there's many different ways that we can do this, where we come in and we take a 2-on-1 wrist to my partner's opposite hand. As she goes to take a grip on me and break that grip off, we can come through and strip and get to a 2-on-1 elbow, okay? From this position, we're going to look to start elevating our partner up by, again, having us sticky hooks, scooting in, and coming in, having concave shoulders. And now from here, we're just going to have 2 feet inside of my partner's legs without planting my feet on the ground. And we're just going to lift up and over. So from here, as my partner goes to the base of the hand, it makes it difficult because of that 2-on-1. We can just take our partner up and over like so. Okay, so very, very basic. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. We just take a 2-on-1, however it may be, and maybe I offer her a wrist, other hand. And from here, we come through, we take an elbow, and we come in. Now we scoot in, we elevate our partner up and over, and now we just lift with the right leg, and we take our partner over to the same side as the trapped arm. Okay, so again, very, very basic, just a basic 2-on-1 elbow, and getting 2 feet in between our partner's legs and taking her over for the sweep. All right, so now we're going to look at using a planted foot, where we have one drive leg and one lift leg. Okay, where we take a 2-on-1 elbow on our partner, and from this position, we get our partner up and over. And now, once we have our partner elevated, we're going to begin to lift. Now, if he just tries to base of their hands, which a lot of beginners will do, okay, your natural instinct is to base of your hand, your partner will fall right over. The issue is, once your partner starts to get better, they start posting with their feet out on the floor, and you find yourself now in a position where you can take your partner so far with that lift, but not all the way up and over. All right? So what we're going to start to look to do is to put one foot on the floor, and then from here, we're going to hit a lifting action where we lift with the right leg and we bridge with the left, and we take our partner up and over. This will give us the ability to get our hips higher, than we would if we didn't have a foot on the floor. So right now, as I go to lift, my lifting leg can only push so high. But as I put my foot on the floor, I come up, off of my hips, and we start to push with this right leg. So now as we elevate, we can get much higher, much more lifting action with this right leg. It's very important that as you go to bridge, you can support a massive amount of weight from this position. So I use my left foot on the floor, the ball's my foot on the floor. As I go to look to start bridging, I turn my toes down towards the floor, so my toes, my knee invert, and I come off my hips and onto the point of my left shoulder. So that from this position, I extend, and we move up into this position here. When I'm in this position, looks kind of strange, but structurally it's very strong. If she comes around behind me, and she physically sits on my hips, she'll be able to hold your partner up from here, okay? She comes down the other side. I go to lift. Your partner should be able to sit on your hips with all of her body weight, and you should be able to hold your partner up in that position. So when you try to do it with someone on top of you, no matter how big they are, when they go to crush you or sit your hips back down to the floor, it becomes incredibly difficult. So she goes to post that leg out, she goes up high, 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 and now from here, I just start to lift myself up. We can always take our partner up and over for the win, okay? So what it's gonna look like is we come in, we hit a 2-on-1, and from here, as we go to sweep, she posts the leg out. Now we come through, and as we're going over, we switch to an underhook usually to secure top position and get to the win. So you go from a 2-on-1, she goes to post, and now from this position, we have a drive leg, where we look to drive off of that foot, and then we switch to an underhook, so as she goes to get back to top, She runs into my underhook, and now we can go to all of our follow-up attacks from top half guard, mount, or side control. Okay. That's another good sweeping mechanism we have is a hizaguruma, where we get our partner up and elevated. We're gonna do this with different grips in a minute. We get our partner up and elevated with a 2-on-1 elbow. And from this position, as I go to sweep my partner bases out with that leg. And instead of taking a foot down to the floor, I'm gonna take a foot down to my partner's knee like so. Now, you can go anywhere from above the knee down to the ankle, depending on where your partner's foot is, okay? If your partner bases down in the lower quadrant somewhere, you can always get to your partner's knee. Where now I kick the knee out by going forwards first and then in towards the second leg. What I don't want is to just go down and then my partner just hops over and this happens. So what I want to do is I want to physically mold the sole of my foot to my partner's leg, push down first, and follow her and track her leg in towards the second leg. So that as she goes to hop out, we can always take my partner over. Conversely, when we take our partner up and over, or up and elevated, this time, if she posts her ankle up too high, or I feel like I can't get to my partner's knee, then I go down to the ankle, okay? So I go to the if she goes up to the upper quadrant here, I have the choice. I can, one, either try to go straight to the ankle, but if it's too high, it's difficult. So I use my knee to push my partner's leg slightly down, and then we move down to the ankle. So a lot of times, I can't go all the way, I can't push my partner's leg down far enough to make it to my partner's knee. So she goes up, I use the knee to open up the ankle. So the knee pushes down to get that leg back down, and I just windshield wiper my leg to the outside, and I catch the ankle. And once again, we go down first and in towards the second leg. So as she goes to hop over, it becomes difficult, and we can take our partner up and over for the win. Okay? So we take our partner up with a 2-on-1 elbow. We're going to take her over. She goes to base out. If the leg's down here somewhere, we always go above the knee. And we go. If my partner brings that leg up higher, we go to the ankle. And we come down and we go. If she brings the leg up so high where I can't get to the ankle or the knee, I go knee to knee, and I open my knee out towards her foot, then push down towards her hips. Now I can't retract my knee and try to go to the ankle. She can just follow me back up, and now I lose. So I push the knee down first, I keep that knee connection, and now she goes to bring the leg back up, there's still a wedge on top of the thigh. So as she goes to bring that leg up high again, we just swish the leg to the outside, catch the ankle, and take our partner over, switching to an underhook as we come up, and now we're ready to pass in half guard. Okay? So we use variations of hizaguruma where we go above the knee, down to the ankle, or we use a knee-to-knee method where we take our partner's leg down and then we switch to the ankle. Okay? In some cases, you can also just use the knee to take your partner's leg out and away, and you can use the knee to just take your partner over by pushing down and tracking that leg in. Okay, you don't always have to switch to the ankle. All right, so 3/4 good methods of taking your partner's leg out and under from underneath her. Keeping your hips on the floor this time and using a hizaguruma with that second leg to take your partner up and over. All right, so this time we're going to be looking to go into a back take with a 2-on-1 elbow instead. So we're going to elevate our partner up, and instead of taking our partner over to one side, we're going to shoot our partner out in the opposite direction. Okay? Remember, with sumigeshis, we're always looking to lift to the upper quadrants. When we're looking to take our partners back, we're forward shifting and we're going down towards one of the lower quadrants. Okay? Whenever we're going for a sweep and trying to take our partner over, it's the upper quadrants. Whenever we're forward shifting and attacking our partner's back, we're trying to get our partner moving forward, we go to one of the front two quadrants. So we take a 2-on-1 elbow, we get our partner up, and from this position, all we're going to look to do is hit a forward shift by pulling the knees in, shooting the knees out, And as I guide my partner's arm across with a pull of my right arm and a push of my left, I just extend my right leg out towards the lower quadrant, somewhere in the corner of that quadrant down there. Okay, so almost right on the outside of that BJJ Fanatics blue box towards the Fuji-san. So as I lift, I extend my right leg and we guide the arm by and we sit our partner down to the floor. Now, we have a right hook in place. What do we need? Diagonal control. So we always come forward, chasing that far shoulder at first, if we have to, or if we can, right to the wrist. So now as my partner goes to move away from me, it's impossible. If you don't get to that far shoulder or wrist and she goes to turn, now your bottom half guard, the elbow comes across center line, and your bottom half guard. We always go chasing that far wrist as soon as we set our partner down. We elevate our partner up, and now we use a forward shift to start getting our partner out and over to this direction. And now from here, as she goes to move out and away from us, we climb to the shoulder, get to the wrist, and we're in position ready to play. So from a different angle, we get our partner up. We use this 2-on-1 to send our partner's arm by as we extend their right leg. Right, so we have control of my partner's right arm. We're going to use an extension against her left hip to drop her down and transition to our hook. Now, as she goes to turn away from me, we go in, we catch the far wrist, and now when she goes to turn towards me, she gives me her back. If she turns away, now we're attacking turtle, and we're ready to go in with our power halves and breakdowns to start getting our partners back for the win. So as you see, I'm giving you pretty basic single moves. All right, we're gonna start going into combinations later, and then we're gonna recap the combinations after every little segment. All right, so now we're gonna use a 2-on-1 elbow to start elevating our partner up. And this time, we're gonna go in and we're gonna punch into an under overhook position, okay? Now, there's two possible situations that can occur when I'm trying to do this. One is I'm gonna punch my hand through and I get a full overhook on my partner's arm and an underhook on the opposite side. Now, what can also happen is as I'm going to punch the hand in, I can't do it. But I'm already looking to start sweeping my partner. So what I do instead is I just cover my partner's arm by going over to my partner's far hip like so. Now I put an underhook in place. Now I take my two elbows together. So as my right arm shoots in this direction, my left elbow closes down towards the hip. So I get this scissoring effect, like so. When she goes to pull that arm out, she can't. Because of the closing of your left elbow, you put your left elbow directly inside of your own thigh. So now when she goes to pull that elbow out, it runs not only into the strength of your elbow, but the reinforced wedge of your own leg. So when she goes to pull that arm out, it's difficult. Now from here we have a choice. We can go in. We can look to start lifting our partner over. If she doesn't base out at all, she falls over. If she posts a leg out, we can go in and start lifting by taking our hips off the floor and elevating our partner. Or we can go in and go with Hizaguruma type actions where we take our partner's foot out and take our partner up and over. Okay? So this time, we switch and the underhook, again, if your partner pulls the arm out, we'll look at that in a minute, switching to different transitions. But for right now, pretty basic. We elevate our partner up. And now, you notice as she's coming up, if I'm looking to switch right away to an under over, when there's still space between her midsection and her elbow, it's pretty easy on the way in to lock a full under over. When now when she goes to pull the arm out, I have a full overhook, it's difficult. Let's say I elevate my partner, and then I want to switch after she's already elevated. So we get here, now I punch the underhook in, and when I go to punch my overhook in, it doesn't catch. If I fiddle around too long here, she just pulls the arm out, and now she has base. So instead, when I feel this, I just go in, and we catch. Now, we raise the right elbow, we close the left, and we scissor the two elbows like we're trying to connect our two elbows in the middle of my partner's back. So now when she goes to pull that arm out, it's impossible. And now she goes to base the leg, we have our choices. We take our partner over, and now we're ready to pass from top half guard. Okay, so one time from the opposite side. We come in, we elevate our partner up, and now from here, we're in position. As she goes to pull that arm out, it's a very difficult task. When you have your partner in the gi, it's almost impossible because now you have belt grips. So the belt actually holds you in place with an extra wedge. So now when she goes to pull the arm out now, it's just impossible. And now from here, we come in, and we start taking our partner up and over for the win. All right, so our first of many leg entrances. This is going to get a little bit redundant, especially for me teaching, because I'm teaching this all at the same time right now. So it just feels like I'm teaching the same thing or very similar moves over and over again. But I'm going to show you this multiple times. Number one, because most people who watch this instructional aren't going to watch the whole thing at one time. They're going to watch bits and pieces and practice the moves as they go. So I want to keep it fresh in your mind. Number one. And number two, it's so important to be able to transfer from the upper body to the lower body that the more you see it, the more it will be an ingrained habit into your actions, where you feel like the arms aren't there, or even if the arms are there, you want to go into the legs, just change up the direction, switch directions, and change paces. You enter into the legs. So I'm going to enter into the legs with very similar attacks off different grips. I'm going to show you leg entrances over and over and over again, just to make sure that you have the idea in your mind that you have to be able to play the upper body and the lower body together. Okay, so this time we use the 2-on-1 elbow. We get our partner up. And now we're going to enter into a basic ashigarami. Now, the good news here is I can enter into either leg. Okay, what I'm going to look to start doing is I'm going to look to hold my partner's wrist with the right hand, and I'm going to switch to a false grip over my partner's leg with the left. Now, from this position, as she goes to sprawl back and away from me, it's difficult because I control the center of gravity. From here, we're going to start to lift the right shoulder, get my partner's head off center, and then we're just going to shoot the left leg through, and once again, we're going to switch left knee with right knee. So that as the left leg shoots through, the left or the right knee replaces. Right now, my right knee is wedged on the outside of her body. So I need to give an additional lift to shoot my leg through and make a switch. And now from here, I bring my two knees together, and when she goes to crush me from this position, we switch to a cross lap post. Now if she goes to put her knee in the floor and switch to half guard, it's impossible. When she goes to run out and away from me, they cover, and now we're ready to go into our attacks. Okay, so we enter in. 1. We get our partner up. Now as we go to lift, we catch 1. We lift over the right shoulder to get our knee free, and we shoot the leg through. Now we're ready to go into our entrances into an ashigarami on that side. Now this time, we pull our partner up. We go to enter into our partner's legs, and this time she freaks out and she drives this knee down to the floor and almost hops to this side. So now I feel like if I shoot this leg through, I'm going to end up in half guard. That's no good. Just know, number one, if you go to switch into your partner's legs and she puts this knee in the floor, she's sacrificing her base of support. So as you go to enter into your partner's legs and she puts the knee in the ground, the sumigishi, or at least off balance, becomes much easier. So just understand that with 2-on-1. Additionally, as she goes to put that knee in the floor, she gives you access now to the second leg. So instead of holding my partner's wrist and letting go of the elbow on the opposite side, we hold the elbow and we let go of the wrist. So as she goes to drive that knee down, we switch to a false grip on this side. Now, from here, we're just going to shoot this leg forward. And now she'll presumably posture up and rip that elbow free. And now that allows us to come in, switch to a cross lap post, and enter into an ashigarami on the opposite side. Okay, so what this will look like as we come in, we pull our partner up. Now we go to enter into this leg. This time she goes to shoot that knee to the floor, so we go back to the elbow and we catch. Now from this position, I take my head from one side to the other, like so. And now from here, As she goes to posture up and pull that elbow out, base, we switch, we go cross lat. What I don't want is for her to take a strong collar tie and drive that knee to the floor. Now I'm going to half guard on the other side. So we go cross lat. So when she goes to bring that knee down, I can always make space for a knee to come through and enter in. So as we go, we come through. Here, here, we catch. Now from this position, we look to start going in. We enter one side. She goes to drive that knee down. And we enter the opposite side, ready to go. Okay? Now a little bit more advanced. This time, we pull our partner in. We enter. And from this position, we're going to look to start using that cross post right from here. So I pull my partner in and I immediately switch to a cross post. So this is more when you pull your partner up and you have no intention of really entering into a sweeping position. We just want to enter into our partner's legs. So we pull our partner up, we switch to that cross lat, and now we go in and we enter into cross hashigurami just as we did before. Okay? The second we get our partner elevated, we're into our partner's legs, and we're ready to go into attacks. Or a rimiyashi, either side. Now we're ready to go into attacks on the opposite leg. Okay, so attacks on both legs with both straight and cross hashi. All right, so I'm not going to teach these as single moves anymore because I went over them already. But we're just going to do the same transitions from an arm drag. Okay, so this time we come in, we use an arm drag grip to elevate our partner up, and now from here we can either sweep our partner with a basic double leg sweep. We can go in, we can plant our foot face out, we can plant our foot in the ground and elevate our partner in, or we can use hizaguruma type actions to take our partner over. Okay. In addition, we can come out, we can lift our partner with a drag, and now we can take our partners back. So we forward shift, and we have back exposure where we get to the far wrist and get diagonal control. And we can enter into an elevation, and now from here we can go into our partner's legs, where we let go of the wrist, we catch, we go into an hashigurami, or this time she goes to pull the arm out and drive that knee to the floor, and we go to the opposite side and enter into an hashigurami on the opposite leg. In addition, we can elevate our partner up, switch to that cross lat post, which is easy now because our arm's already across, and now from here we can go in and enter into cross hashi. So we have the same transitions. If we have the elbow 2-on-1, but this time from an arm drag. So we enter in, we pull our partner up, and all the transitions that we just did, we can use with the arm drag. We can use these from a 2-on-1 elbow, or from a drag where we come through, we get our partner elevated, and then we go into all the same attacks. I'm not going to teach them as the same move because I just taught them. I don't want to be that redundant, all right? But we can go into any of the attacks with a arm drag as we can with a 2-on-1 elbow. Either sweeping our partner over, switching to attacks on our partner's legs, taking our partner's back. All of that is the same with the drag. All right, so let's talk about now what happens when our partner pulls the arm out and we have to switch to a true over-under. Right? So as I go to elevate my partner, this time before I can switch to an under-over or with a drag, maybe she pulls the arm out and she bases on the floor. Okay? Now I have a real over-under where the hand isn't across my center line. So from this position, it's going to be hard now for me to take my partner over if she has that arm based out on the floor. So what I have to start looking to do is to control my partner's arm in a meaningful way where I can take out her base of support. What everyone does is they control the elbow by using an overhook. But controlling the elbow does nothing to stop my partner from posting that wrist out and giving her base of support out in that upper left quadrant. So what I'm going to look to start doing is trapping my partner's wrist. Where from here, as she goes to base now, my elbow controls her wrist rather than my elbow controlling her elbow. So now, as she goes to pull that arm out, as I go to elevate, she pulls that arm out and goes to base. I just hug her wrist to my rib cage. Where now from here, as she goes to base, it makes it exceedingly difficult, rather than being in elbow to elbow. So whenever you're using a true under-over sweep, just to give you guys a little introduction, you have to make sure that your elbow controls your partner's wrist and not your partner's elbow. Okay? What I don't want for any position where we're in under-over is to be an elbow to elbow, like so, where I have an overhook. And now as I go to take my partner over, she bases in an upper quadrant, and I can't take my partner over. Rather, I always go in and I control my partner's wrist, either with an overhook here or with a grip on the elbow here. So now she goes to base, the wrist is controlled rather than the elbow. So if I go to pull my partner in, she goes to pull that arm out. The second she goes to base, I just hold the elbow, go ahead. And she goes to base, I just hug the wrist in like so. So now she goes to base out, it's very, very difficult. So just a key with under-over sweeping. Instead of going in over with an overhook, elbow to elbow, we go in elbow to wrist instead, whether here or here. Okay? We never go in elbow to elbow and allow her to base that hand out. We always control the wrist down by the rib cage, so as she goes to base, it's impossible. So now we're going to look at the Hizaguruma from an under-over position, where from here, we elevate our partner in, she takes the hand out, and now from here we're going to look to go into a Hizaguruma type situation. Okay? From this position, we're going to go in, and pretty similar to what we did before, as we're going to take our partner up and over, she can't base the hand out, but she posts a leg out. So from here, just as we did before, we either go up to the knee if we can, down to the ankle if we can, or if she has a higher leg, to the knee first, down to the ankle. Or now if she goes to pull that hand out, it's very, very difficult, and we can easily send our partner over and get to top positioning. Okay? So we come in, we elevate our partner, she goes to pull that hand out. As she does, I let the hand slide out, but I don't let the hand base out in the upper quadrant. So I control the elbow. From an arm drag, same thing. As she goes to pull out, I switch to an elbow, and now as that hand goes to come out, I just wait for it, and I catch. Now I look to off balance to put her elbow inside my knee. When she goes to pull that elbow out, it's impossible. And now from here we go in and we hit all of our Hizaguruma type actions we looked at before. Okay? We can also use the method where we planted our foot, where now as our partner goes to come out, we can post out on the floor and use a lifting action to take our partner up and over. All right, so this time, we're going to take our partner up and over, however we enter into an under-over, and we're always going to find that time, we're going to take our partner through, and she manages the base of the hands. Okay? Now we find ourselves in a position where we can't take our partner over, and it's hard to bring that hand back in. If she has a strong base, it's hard to reel that hand back in. It's almost impossible. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to perform a forward shift where we pull the knees into the chest, shoot our partner forward, and go back down to the elbow now when there's a weightless hand. What I can't do is pull the arm in while there's weight on the hand. So I'm trying to lift to this side, and then there's weight on the hand. I can't pull that arm in. So I forward shift first, so the arm is weightless, and now I drop back down to the wrist. Now from here, as she goes to base, I plant my foot on the floor, like so, and I have that strong lifting action, which takes us up and over to lift our partner up and through. Okay? We hit an initial under-over. It fails, and she gets the hand out for base. Now she has a base in the upper quadrant. From here, because there's weight on the arm, it's almost impossible to pull my partner's arm in and sweep her. When she goes to base out hard with that arm, I can never pull my partner's arm in. Okay? So from here, I pull the knees into the chest, I forward shift, and as I forward shift, I move from a weighted hand to a weightless hand. The second this happens, I immediately clamp down on the wrist. Now when she goes to base, we have an angle, and now from here we can take our left foot through, get ready to go in, and take the knee to the inside. So that from here, as she goes to base out now, I get that strong driving action, leg up, that strong driving action off my left foot. We can easily lift our partner up and over and get a win for the sweep. So we use a forward shift this time off a failed under-over initial sweep. So we go in, whether it's with the 2-on-1 or whatever the case is, she bases the arm out, and now from here, we forward shift, and immediately we're right back into our sweeps off of the forward shifts. So a failed 2-on-1 to a failed under-over to a forward shift to a successful sumigishi. So this time, once again, we fail a sweep, we fail sumigishi. We get limb extension, but we can't take our partner over. What do? We enter into the legs. All right. Again, I know this is kind of repetitive, but it's very, very important. Okay. So this time, we hit the initial under-over. We get our partner basing, but she bases the hand out, and we can't enter into the legs, or we can't take our partner over. The second we see this, we go to take our partner over. She bases. The second we see this, we immediately switch to a V grip with my right hand. Because she has an underhook, this time on this side, you can't enter into your partner's leg. If she brings the arm up and shoots the leg back, you can't ever hold this grip, okay? So this time we're gonna enter into the underhook side, the same leg as the underhook side. So whenever we see this, we immediately see the post. We're not gonna take our partner over. We take a V grip inside of our partner's armpit, and now from here, we just lift everything over the left shoulder. So from here, we continue to lift, lift, lift. Now, once our partner's head is over ours and our head is underneath our partner's chest, we switch to a false grip. And now from here, we shoot our legs through, and we're in position ready to go. Okay? So we come in. We fail an under-over. From here, she bases. From this position, my goal is to get my head underneath my partner's chest. So we go V grip, we lift, and now from here, we grab a false grip. If I try to reach for my partner's leg without my head being underneath her chest, you'll never catch a meaningful grip. So we use a V grip to get my head underneath my partner's chest. When she goes to sit her weight back down, it's impossible. And now from here, we can catch. We go cross frame once again with our left hand. So we enter in. Okay. So we get our partner up and over. Under-over fails. From this position, our goal is to get our head underneath our partner's chest. So we go V grip. We continue to lift left shoulder. And we get her hand up. Now we go false grip, cross frame. As she goes to crush me, you can always make space, swing our legs through. In addition, we can also go into cross ashi. So we get our partner up. I go to enter into my sweeping positions. She posts the hand out wide. From this position, we go V grip, we go cross frame, and now from here, we use this direction hand to start lifting and entering in the cross hashigurami on the far leg. Okay? So we get our partner up. We fail an under over. We go V grip. From this position, we use our direction hand and a scoop grip to start lifting. And now from here, we can set our partner down into cross hashigurami and enter in. So we fail with a sweep at the upper body, and we go into attacks either straight ashi or cross hashigurami into our partner's legs. All right, so now we're going to look into going into a kagegatame. So this time, we go into a sweep. Our partner feels like she can't base her hand out in that upper quadrant, so she takes the second hand over across the center line and bases with that hand. Okay, this is actually more common than you think it would be. So we try to go in. She feels her right hand is trapped. So as we go, she throws her left hand over and posts on this side of my body. So now when I try to sweep her, I run into that post in the upper left quadrant. But whenever I see this, we come through and we lock in with our kagegatame like so. As I go to lock in, I have to make sure that my head and ear stay behind her elbow, glued to her rear deltoid, here. If I go to lock and just reach with my hands, my head stays in the same spot and she pulls that elbow back, now I lost everything. So the first thing I do is I shoot my ear to the rear delt. here. Now, if she goes to pull that elbow arm out, she can't. And now we go in and we lock palm to palm, we pull everything into us. From this position, because the arm's across the center line, it's embarrassingly easy to take our partner out in this direction and sweep our partner. As she goes to base out, she only has one form of base, and that is her leg. So now from here, usually the easiest thing, we can do any forms of sweeps. We can even lift with 2 legs from here because your partner has no base at the hand. Okay, so a basic 2-legged sweep will take your partner over, where I have 2 legs inside and both feet off the floor. When she goes to base, it doesn't matter. Okay. Now from here, we can go either with that, we can go into the lifting method where she posts the leg out and we lift, or we can go for a simple Hizugatame action and take our partner over and finish with a top Kagetame and side control. Okay, so we're going to take our partner up and over. We have an under over from whatever position we choose to enter in. From this position, as we're going to take our partner through, maybe we forward shifted, maybe we get that elbow trapped or that wrist trapped, and now from here, she goes to base, but she feels like she can't. So she takes the left hand over and posts in that upper quadrant. The second I see this, I use this right hand to bring my head forwards, and I catch. Now when she goes to pull the elbow out, it's not easy. We go through, we lock, palm to palm, and now we look to pull our partner into us. From this position, it's easy now for us to take our partner over in this direction with any variety of sweeps with the legs, and we get the win nice and easy. The main thing is that I keep, once again, my head behind her elbow. If her elbow comes back across the center line, this is no good for me. So the second she goes to post that arm, I immediately come through, I pull myself up, and glue my ear to her rear deltoid. So now, even without locked hands, when she goes to pull that elbow out, it's not an easy thing. Now, once I put a wedge on the other side of her neck, now when she goes to pull the arm out, it's almost impossible. And now when I lock my hands, when she goes to pull the elbow out, it's a closed circle, reinforced wedge. There's no way she's getting that arm out. Okay? So we come in on the opposite side. We go ahead to Sumigeshi. She posts the hand, and immediately we're in. And now from here, when she goes to form a base of support with that leg, she has nothing in the upper quadrant. Now their hand's not even close. If she tries to take her opposite hand to cross and post, it'll never reach. And now you can take your partner over nice and easy and finish on top with a submission. Alright, so this time we get to a position where we enter into a Kagetame, and my partner bases the hand out on the opposite side. Okay, now, from this position, we go into a Kagetame, and we find ourselves in a position where we're trying to sweep our partner to this side, and she knows this. She knows our arms across the center line. So she knows if she moves towards me, she's going to take it over very easily in this direction. So what everyone does is they step their right leg out, and they lean all their weight in this direction. Okay? So now, when I go to lift, I have no lifting action with my left leg because my left leg is not really connected well to my partner's, to the inside of my partner's thigh, and all of our weight's out in this direction here. Whenever I see this, all we're going to look to do is we're going to look to extend our right leg to push our partner out and move our hips away from our partner. Here. Okay? So our knee, we extend it with the right leg, and then our knee closes off my partner's hip so I can pivot off my partner's hip and move out and away. And from here, we take a butterfly hook into a hook in our partner's back, and all we're going to look to do from here is knock our partner over down to a hip. And then once again, we go in, chasing our partner's far wrist at diagonal control. Now we can look to attack our partner's back. Okay? So, what we're going to look to do is we enter into an under-over, however it may be. She pulls the arm out, we go into an under-over. Now, I try to get into a position where I can trap my partner's wrist. So she goes to take that hand to the opposite side, and we come in and we lock Kagetame like so. Now, if she pushes into me, she moves out over to my right, and she gets swept. Now, what she wants to do is to sag all of her weight to the opposite side, so now when I go to sweep her, it's impossible. When I see this, I just extend my right leg out in this direction. This time, I'm almost forward shifting, so I go towards the bottom left quadrant. And now from here, as I extend, I pivot my left knee off of my partner's hip, strong body. And now I chop my partner's knee to the floor by throwing a hook in place. here. Now all we're going to look to do is put our right foot on the floor, scoot out, and go to my partner's hip. So we switch from a kagetame. You can stay with a kagetame. If your partner's base is narrow, she just falls over. If your partner's base is wide, we go to a claw grip with the far hip. So now from here, we can pull that hip down towards us, switch to a far wrist, and now we're in business for back attacks on our partner. Okay? So from the other side, we get her up and over with an over-under. We switch to a kagetame. She knows now if she moves towards you guys, she's going to fall. You get swept over very easily. So she moves out and away. From this position, I extend forwards, and then I pivot to move my hips away. Strong body. Like so. Now from here, I put her hip on the floor. And now we're in position to, one, stay with the kagetame if her base is narrow, and just break her down to a hip. Or if she widens the knees, which a lot of time will happen, and I got to break her down, I had no control of the hip, I can't take my partner down. So instead I go to a claw and a far hip. For now she goes to widen the knees, an extra pull in the hip will always knock my partner down. And now once again we have left hook in place. So we need diagonal control from the left hip up to the right shoulder. So what I always look to do from here is go in, capture my partner's far wrist. So now when she goes to turn away from me, it's impossible. Now we can keep her in an athletic position, look to throw our hook in place, and we're ready to work from attacks on our partner's back. At this time, we move to a kagetame. We put it in the most combat realistic situation where we go for initial under over. She switches the hand over, we move to a kagetame. From this position, we feel no initial reaction from our partner. We're going to immediately start to looking to lock up. Where we go in, and for this kagetame, we lock a figure four. Where now from here, we can go to easy finishes by taking the bottom elbow, retracting it down towards the floor, and pulling it down into my partner's shoulder. So we go down towards the floor and in towards my partner's far hip. So we're pushing down into the shoulder and pulling down to the floor. Okay? Because my partner's on top of me, we usually use a wrist to wrist, but for this one, we can use a figure four. Okay? The reason being, if we move the top position, when I finish kagetames on top, I use a wrist to wrist because I have to have a wide base of support with my elbow above the shoulder line. So when she goes to bridge, she can't off balance me. If I lock a figure four, I compromise my own base of support, so when she goes to bridge, I either get swept or the elbow comes out. But from bottom positioning, that makes no difference. I'm in no danger of being swept. Very, very different position. So from here, we lock up, go figure four, and look to strangle our partner. From here, she has to start moving. So she has a choice. She either moves towards me and gets swept, or moves away from me and gets her back taken. Okay? So now we have the trilemma, the golden trilemma, where we enter in. We go to sweep, she takes the hand across, we go into a kagetame. From here, we lock up, getting a strong connection of our crease of our elbow to the side of our partner's neck. From this position, we go in and we lock a figure of four. Okay, once again, because I have no danger here of my partner bridging and freeing the elbow. From bottom positioning, it's much different from top positioning. From top positioning, it's crucial to have a wrist-to-wrist grip to get our elbow above the shoulder line to stop our partner bridging and freeing the elbow. From bottom position, we don't have that issue. So we go in and we lock a much tighter figure four. From this position, if she stays here, she gets strangled. So she has to move. She can't just stay here. She has to pick a side. If she moves towards me, she gets swept. If she moves away from me, she gets her back taken. Okay? And that is the key to these kagetames here, where we have a trilemma between a strangle, and she stays there. If she moves towards me, a sweep. If she moves away from me, a back take. Alright, so another great option from this kagetame is to hit a forward shift and start attacking my partner from turtle positioning. Okay, where I get the initial kagetame, and from this position, I'm going to forward shift into a claw grip. So my goal is to get to a position where she's on her knees in front of me, I'm seated, and I have a claw grip with a far hip. So from here, I lock a kagetame initially, I bring my knees to my chest, I shoot my partner forward. From this position, I'm immediately going to look to start turning my head down towards the floor and getting to my partner's far hip. So from here, as she goes to posture up and move away from me, it's difficult. Now, all I'm going to look to do is I'm going to use my right foot on the inside to scoot around and pull my partner down to the floor like so. Now, I open up my elbow and prevent her from posting the trapped arm on the floor. If my elbow is low, she posts and posture up. Okay, it's hard for me to start climbing from here. So what I look to do is I look to open up my right elbow, so when she goes to post that arm, it's not an easy thing. Now this gives me the advantage to bring my head much higher than my partner's, and now, all in one motion, I take my hook out. I can either stay with the claw, or I can post on the floor and climb to my partner's far wrist. Okay? Now we have diagonal control and ready to attack from turtle right from here. All right, so we hit a forward shift from a kagetame. As we hit the forward shift, knees to chest, we come forward. Now from here, I'm going to go to my partner's far hip. From this position, I use my inside right foot on this side to start scooting around the corner. So I move back, I scoot around the corner, and then I open up the elbow, and I bring my head higher than hers. Now you have a choice. You can stay with the claw and take your left knee out like so you can pull yourself up, where now you're behind your partner, or you can glue your ear to your partner's deltoid and post. I can't post and do this. Now she just brings the elbow back across and pins me. So I keep the shoulder in the pocket of my partner's armpit, my ear glued to her rear deltoid, and now I can post. Now she goes to bring the elbow back, and the time allowed, it's not nearly enough time. So if we go claw, we can post, and I push into my partner so there's tension. As she goes to race to bring the elbow across, and I go to race to bring my head to the opposite shoulder, go ahead. I can always get up faster than my partner because my elbow starts behind her elbow. My head starts behind her elbow, and now I get to the far wrist, diagonal control from the right shoulder down to the left hip, and now you're ready to go in and start attacking turtle positioning. Okay, so we forward shift, we switch to a claw grip from a kagetame, and we chase our partner from turtle position with a seated versus kneeling instead of supine versus your partner being elevated.